Welcome back. It's now time to talk about what happened in the judiciary. A few days ago, the NJC did wield a big stick, literally, suspending 2 judges, recommending 2 for immediate or compulsory retirement. So this big stick that has been wielded by the NJC, of course, is causing some ripple effects in that particular arm of government and everybody who is a player. It has to do with the perception of that sector, if you allow me to use that word. And that's why we have joining us to break it down for us what exactly this means and how the public is perceiving all of this. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Paul Ananaba, joins us via Zoom. Mr. Ananaba, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ananaba, 2 judges recommended for retirement compulsorily. I know that a particular judge, one of the Sharia court, one of the Qadis was recommended because he's supposed to have retired like 12 years ago, falsifying his age, according to the allegation, having like 3 birthdays, and they've told him, you're supposed to have retired 12 years ago. In fact, don't just retire immediately. Every money you've collected in the last 12 years, return it back. And then the issue of basically following the principle of law when it comes to the chief judge of, I think, Anambra, as well as what happened in the judge in River State. I want you to help us make sense of the situation and what this signals to that sector, this action of the NJC.
Okay. By Section 153 of the Constitution, the NJC was created, and the reasoning is to ensure that things pertaining to judges are properly handled. Not by the executive, but so that the judiciary can self-regulate and self-cleanse. So that's what the reasoning of the framers of the Constitution would have thought. So that complaints against judicial officers will go to NJC. And daily, if not weekly or monthly, petitions are written against judicial officers in different ways. Now, the NJC has a serious job to do because the people, the composition of NJC is largely made up of judges. So it's judges trying to regulate judges. So that's how difficult it is. Now, you have just seen one of the actions of NJC. But let me start from the point that there were petitions that were dismissed. It means that it's not every petition against the judicial officer that is correct. And the NJC did one, that even lawyers who had their clients to write frivolous petitions will not go free. In any event, petitions against judicial officers are serious matters and should not be trivialized. Let me get to the issue of the judgments again. How will you imagine a head of court? And it's becoming rampant, where judicial officers now, by affidavit, adjust their age, even when nationally the retirement age of judicial officers has been increased. So adjusting age of a judicial officer, even for anybody for that matter, what much more a judicial officer is very serious matter. So you see the chief judge of Imo State, Chikeka, Justice Chikeka, and the Grand Cadi in Yobe. And I commend the NJC for taking those bold actions. And they got to the real root of it. Not go home and sin no more, but return all the monies that you illegally got. return them. And as I looked at those decisions, I was wondering, how will these judges, would they have such monies? It's a signpost to other judges, so warning signal to other judges, not to adjust their ages, not to do things like that. A judge, like Caesar's wife, should live above board. That's the last of the common man. So when a judge begins to adjust his or her age, what else do you want the rest of the society to be like? And I also want to commend the CJN, the Honorable Justice Kekere, for not sweeping this very serious matter under the carpet. And it will be clear that going forward, every other judge will now have to sit up and know that this type of conduct will not be tolerated. So I am impressed, and I think it's the way to go, and we should continue on this lane. Thank you.
Senior Advocate, I'd like you to speak to the substance of the matter as delivered by the NJC. The council findings revealed that Justice Aguma committed acts of misconduct by aiding a litigant who obtained a judgment at the FCT High Court Abuja and filed a garnishee against judgment debtors in Bori Division of the High Court in Rivers State. But council sort of dismissed all of the petitions brought against by Honorable Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court Abuja. The allegations against the justice were to the effect that he was induced with a landed property and a bulletproof vehicle and money, but council find that those allegations were untrue. And of course, another allegation was brought by another petitioner, from the Boots Party, but the NJC found that these allegations were untrue. But the fact that Honorable Justice Peter Lifu presided over these cases at the Federal High Court, and the Chief Justice of Rivers State presided over cases in Rivers State, and we know the politics that have influenced some of these cases. I'd like you to speak to the substance of this matter brought before the NJC, particularly with the implications of how this judgment may be perceived by those watching the political events in Rivers State.
Well, perception is important, but substance is more important than perception. There was a case many years back in the 90s when I was a very young lawyer in one of the eastern states. I was a judge that was very upright in that state. This matter came before that judge. So arguments, evidence went on. On the day of judgment, the judge said there was about a medical doctor that killed, that the wife died in circumstance where it was suspected that he killed the wife. The judge said, well, I find no evidence to convict you. But if you actually kill your wife, that's a better judge than me. There is God. Exactly the same day, on 1 year exactly that same date, the man died in the same way the wife died. I don't know what would have happened, but that judge was forthright. So these are things that happen. Perceptions alone are not enough. The NJC will do what it will do in accordance to its policies and in accordance to law. It may not be a perfect thing, but they will do what they can do from what they know, or what they can see in evidence. Now, they didn't find Justice Clifford guilty. If they found other judges guilty, if Justice Clifford was guilty in their judgment, they would have found him guilty. Let us leave it at that and move on. Now, a judgment is given in Abuja. Just the next day, another judge, Justice Agoma, in Bori, goes on garnishing orders. It raises a red flag, and it sends a warning. For some time, many people now use garnishes to harass other people. Garnishes are not meant for harassing people. In that case, the NJC found that a notice of appeal and a stay, motion for stay, was already filed. Yet, that judgment was enforced. So these are commendable decisions of NJC. They are commendable, and I commend them. But I also think that they should do more.
Okay.
And where they find there should be no tolerance attitude to any judge that breaches the code of ethics of judges. They shouldn't be tolerated, because once justice fails in its place, the state or the country is gone. But that's the last hope of government. Okay, if politician has a problem, he will run to the court. If the judge has a problem, he will run to the court. If the lawyer has a problem, he will run to the court. The common man and the businessman. So if the court goes down, everything is gone.
All right, Senior Advocate, I'm happy you mentioned this, because almost like looking to my notes, because that's what I was processing. Look, the collapse of the judiciary definitely will lead to anarchy, because that's the last hope of the common man. But I also want to stay on the substance of the case, and whether or not when these judges commit these infractions, is there a way that the NJC itself gets ahead to check them without waiting for a petition? That's on one hand. Because I like what was written here concerning the judge in Anambra. It said he failed to adhere to the principle of stare decisis from his different interpretation of the word aspirant, and abused his judicial powers by granting an ex parte order without a motion or notice filed along with the originating summons. This is a top judge. And from lay people's perspective, we've seen a couple of these things happen. And it's so, my question is back to the fact that must there be a petition before the NJC can act? Is there a way to just monitor things that go on within the sector and say, no, this cannot be right in law?
NJC is a creation of the Constitution. It's not created on the whims and caprice of perception of people, no. And the NJC is not a police organization that police people. Your due process has to be followed. NJC does not originate, cannot and does not originate complaints and then begin to deliberate on it. No. There has to be an aggrieved party. If anybody is aggrieved, then such person makes a complaint. And that's all I can answer you. We should not move NJC from what the Constitution made it to be. And you know that it's headed by the Chief Justice of the Federation. So the Chief Justice of the Federation will now begin, is that what you're trying to say? Should now begin to leave very serious assignments and start going all over 36 states, checking what is this judge doing, what's under. No. Those judges also render returns and reports for assessment. So that's just the way it is. And Nigerians in the justice project, everyone is part of it. Recall some years back in Ghana, investigation of judges in Ghana. Over 30 judges were found to be wanting and published that, and all those judges were removed. Our journalists are also expected to be patriotic. Other Nigerians, workers and stakeholders in the judicial sector are expected to play their roles, so that every judge will know that, if I do anything wrong, I will pay for it. I will be sanctioned. And I take special attention to what NJC did with the judge in Anambra State.
Now, with your
this is in Anambra State. In that case, NJC was saying you did not follow judicial precedent, because showing that the era of judicial rascality is gone. A judge should follow precedent. The vexed issue of aspirants, the Supreme Court had laid it clear, laid the point to rest clearly. What is there for a judge to begin to reinterpret who is an aspirant? You look at the case, look at Section 285 of the Constitution, you know whether this is an aspirant or whether it's not an aspirant. There should be some certainty in the law, elementary law, certainty.
Now, Senior Advocate, with your reference to Ghana, one wonders if, what the NJC has done should not also be a clean sweep as well, particularly because of the continuous complaints about corruption in the judiciary. And I'm going to be specific now. How far-reaching was this NJC's decision on punitive action against erring judges, particularly because of reports that there are no fewer than 500 cases since September 6 before the Chief Judge of the Abuja High Court that have not been reassigned due to the challenge of vacation courts. And that on the one hand. On the other hand, the matter that befell 14 members-elect of the Edo State Assembly in 2019 has been merged in delayed administrative court processes since 2019. And, counsel for the affected members-elect say that the issues that have delayed their matter are interlocutory applications to delay the hearing of the substantive suit, amongst others. So if these are outstanding, this quantum of cases, how far-reaching has this NJC decision been? Has it been just minimal, or should it have, spread through the rank and file of the judiciary across states of the Federation to ensure sanity?
Well, generally, let me tell you, we have left Egypt. We have now gotten to Canaan. We're on the way to Canaan. The NJC has moved on. They've started doing a lot more work on these complaints, and they need the support and commendation of Nigerians so that they can continue. The present Chief Justice of the Federation was just sworn in a few weeks ago, and we can get this result. It tells you that we can get a lot more. But strictly speaking, let's not begin to destroy our judiciary also by our comments and our actions. Because a report was published, how verifiable are those reports? A council had an opinion that that NJC doesn't go into matters that are pending in courts. So when these types of reports and comments are made by council, they affect the integrity of the judiciary and the perspective of the judiciary. Our judiciary is still very good. Does it mean that there are no low sides or downsides? No, there are, but we still have a judicial system that we can look back to. So I want to say, yes, publish reports, but publish verifiable reports. And not only getting these verifiable reports, let them not be used to, just whitewash the judiciary, but let them be used by due process again. I can assure you, and I believe we will get to the right results.
All right, Senator.
If you look at the comments you just lifted on interlocutory, made by the interlocutory applications and other. Interlocutory application is provided for in our constitution. So what does the NJC do? Tear the constitution down just to please a party or some section of the society? No, they won't do that. They will follow cases and reports that come before them and follow them by due process. From what I've seen in this set of reports now, decisions of the NJC, I think they will do well and do better to go ahead.
Senior Advocate, we must thank you for your intervention. Perception, as you said, is key. And at the end of the day, what we're looking at is a bit of maybe more level of urgency, but around the law because of this perception. This is the last hope of the common man. So everybody's interested in how things progress in that sector. So maybe more than a sledgehammer is required this time to make sure that everybody is brought to order. I must thank you, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Paul Ananaba. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right, to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the economy. The federal government has presented a budget of almost 50 trillion, 47.9 trillion naira. Inflation has increased, food inflation has increased. A couple of things have increased. Well, there are gains and there are losses. We'll look at all sides of the conversation, the efforts of the federal government in all of this. But particularly, what is the impact of the 2024 budget as we prepare for 2025? Paul Alaje will join us after the break. Join us again.